What up, y'all? It's your girl Delia, here with the homies, the mighty Erock and Gail Saunders, aka Eagle Sessions. We're here with the Eagles Landing Podcast, another episode for you where you can get your Eagles and NFL news fix from fans across the globe every single hump day, live on YouTube every Wednesday night, so make sure to subscribe. And we're also available on iTunes and Stitcher, so if you subscribe to us on there, please, give us your feedback, give us a nice little rating, and subscribe. So, it's a good week. I think, as you can see, I got a little pep in my, how do you say it, pep in my step or jump in my step, whatever you want to say. I can't even talk because I'm feeling a lot better.
Feeling good about yourself right now, right?
Yeah, and are you guys kind of in a similar situation? Let's just check in on the whole vibe.
My. How a week can change things, right, guys? I mean, I give up. I give up. I don't know what to make of this team anymore. I mean, if you were to 4 weeks ago to tell me, all right, what's the weirdest thing that could possibly happen to the Eagles? I would say, oh, I don't know, maybe if we lose to the Dolphins and then get our butts kicked by the Bucks and then drop a dud against the Lions and then whoop up against the Patriots, that would be by far the strangest thing that could have happened. Well, here we are. Last week we were moaning and growing and having ourselves a little cry fest together, but today, this week, we're riding pretty high. Isn't that right, Gail?
Things done changed. That win was quite ugly, as ugly as this ugly Christmas sweater, but I felt like it was an early Christmas gift. That's why I wore the sweater, and couldn't be more excited about that W. As much as we were talking about tanking a little bit last week in draft nonsense, it felt great to get a W. I'll be honest. I mean, just watching our players execute, hey, man, hats off to them.
All right. Well, yeah, it does seem like we just kind of pulled a 180. Now, I mean, because the fan base as a whole, you guys already know me. I try and be the like, oh, we can possibly do this and that. But it's always kind of like I have to be hesitant to say because it's so just like, when the odds and the, history of what the team is doing right now are against you, it's hard to be on that side. And it's just really refreshing as the optimist fan to get a little something back for trying to be positive, because it's hard. I was, as Gail was saying, he was rewatching last week's podcast. I did the same thing because I was struggling because I was so frustrated because, I mean, it was hard to fight that good fight, to stay positive. And it's just nice to see that little glimpse of what you knew all along, right? Because it's hard to keep that faith and not doubt this team. But what I want to know is, I mean, because this was like the best win ever. I'm just like, dude, I don't care what they do from this point forward. That made my day, my season. The Patriots are like the most hated team right now. It was just, and then with our history of the Super Bowl, it was just like, it was good. It felt great. And what I want to know, because I wasn't on kind of that other side where I've always been positive and I'm still positive, right? But there was a whole other side of the fan base, the majority of the fan base, that was, ready to fire everybody. I was tagged a billion times on that Christmas tree photo of these are freshly cut trees, just like the Eagles players need to be, and yeah. That's what the majority was. So what I want to know is, did this huge win right that wrong in the view of that not so optimistic fan?
Well, I mean, the vibe in Philly was very much, listening to the callers, listening to the sports radio. It was very much, listen, we realize that this team still has flaws. We realize that this team lost to those three previous teams. All right, this win doesn't excuse what happened, but in a season where there have been far more lows than highs against the defending Super Bowl champions, against Tom Brady, arguably one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback to ever play in the NFL, against the evil Bill Belichick and those Patriots that beat us in the Super Bowl. It was nice just to feel like winners again. You know what I mean? Philadelphia's been so beat down with what the Sixers are going through and the Flyers and the Phillies stink and the Eagles were our only hope and they were letting us down. Just to celebrate that one win doesn't excuse what happened. We still don't know what's going to happen going forward. But for 1 week, we're on top of the world.
Okay.
I mean, we beat the Patriots. I mean, it's not like we just beat, anybody. We beat the Patriots, and they hold a certain respect around the league. And when you take down the Patriots at home is another thing. But most importantly to me, watching the game was just seeing little different things that Chip Kelly did. I was talking about last week that he might add wrinkles. And you guys know how much I love Darren Sproles, and seeing Darren Sproles do his thing, whether it be starting at running back and then returning that kick to the house. I mean, there was just so many, moving parts to that game, like the pick six, Malcolm Jenkins, Tom Brady's poor tackling. There were so many things that made you smile in that game. I mean, it was just crazy.
So where is, I guess, the view with Chip now, since everyone was kind of like pointing the finger, and it was this matchup, Belichick versus Chip, and it ended up playing out in our favor. And to me, there's a lot of subtle pieces that helped with this win. One was, I think, Belichick, he got too cocky. And they went for that onside kick when they're up by 2 scores, and it's just kind of like they did it and they didn't recover the ball, but in the players' eyes, that's a huge insult. It's just kind of like, hey, like you're going to be throwing these little tricks and playing around on a game where you're not up by, you haven't won yet, and there's still a chance for us to come back. I think that kind of lit a fire under these guys, in addition to the fire that they already had, where it was like them against the world, and trying to prove a point. And to me, them being able to do that says a lot about the character of this team, and it validates kind of the reasoning behind getting rid of, yes, some top talent athletes, but poor character and poor mindset type of guys. And we saw specifically with Deshaun, kind of screwed up and lost that game for Washington this past week. So to me, it's validating that we do have the right guys there, and when the whole world is against them, they're not going to crumble. They're going to still fight because they have high integrity, and that's the type of player Chip wants, and I am totally down with that. So
it was nice to see the players actually rally around Sam Bradford.
Mm-hmm.
And hearing that Sam Bradford spoke up in the locker room and really got the guys going, kind of reiterates some of the things we were saying last week about having Sanchez under center versus Sam Bradford. And I'd love to be a fly on the wall to hear Sam Bradford going like OG in the locker room, throwing shit around. But even Jeffrey Lurie came out and said some things. And obviously we were talking about how Jeffrey Lurie and the Patriots history go way back, and this was a big win for him. Beating the Patriots, a team that he wanted to buy, and now he's like, look, I beat the Patriots. But you got to be proud of the organization as a whole, coaches, players, even the owner.
Yeah, I think the jury, it was a little redemption for Chip, but I think the jury's still out on Chip as far as, the way a lot of people feel about him. Interestingly enough, one of those guys that was, had a great soundbite after the game with Philadelphia's John Clark, Brandon Graham was in studio for the 97.5 The Fanatic Morning Show, and when he was in there, he mentioned things along the lines of Jeffrey Lurie came to all the players and said, play angry, that the players rallied around each other and believed in each other, and that, you're right, Gail, Sam Bradford came in and shocked them all by giving, just being rowdy and hyping the team up. What he didn't mention, however, was anything about Chip Kelly. He did not mention anything about Chip Kelly. He mentioned Billy Davis, but Chip Kelly was completely out of the conversation. I'm not going to discredit Chip on this win. It was a great team win. I don't want to call it fluky. They got some interceptions. They took some to the house. They had a couple great special teams plays. I don't want to take anything away from him or his offense or Sam Bradford or anything they did on offense. Starting Darren Sproles was an excellent idea. The way they kept DeMarco Murray on the bench, the way they had Miles Austin a healthy scratch and then a day later cut him. I mean, all those are a credit to Chip. But to see those guys play for each other and play for the owner and play when they felt like their back was against the wall. Listen, nobody cares if you have that us against the world mentality. As long as it equals wins, I don't care what your motivation is, Chip or not, it was a great win.
Yeah. And
Are
I think
you buds with Brandon now? Is that?
I know. Well, yes, I want to get the update. I'm glad you brought him up because that's the first item on my list is Erock versus Brandon Graham update, winky face. And I totally skipped over it because I was too excited about the matchup. But before we get into that little topic there, the point that I did want to make, though, is because, he didn't mention Chip, but I do want to credit Chip for being able to bring in these types of players and focusing on that type of character because that did lead to this type of rebound. If we had certain type, and I know nobody's going to credit him for that, I want to be the one to do it just so y'all know. Okay, so just like I was pointing the finger at Sanchez last week, nobody wants to say anything. I gotta say it just once so y'all just know it's there.
PhilaDehlia, captain of the SS Chip Ship. I love it.
Not captain. I just need to point out things that don't ever get recognized. I have to, because. But enough of that. Erock, can you give us an update? Well, for those of you that don't know, when we last did this podcast, last Wednesday, same time, same channel, there was a little Twitter beef going down. The whole fan base was in a craze, and players, and Twitter was going wild, and Erock is on the forefront of the Eagles Twitter,
Yeah,
and he was having some beef. Well, I guess the beef was both of you actually got blocked by Brandon Graham.
Yes, on 2 counts.
So, but I did not get blocked because I haven't tweeted anything at him. But, so yes, you two had been blocked.
Mm-hmm.
I am not blocked, and Erock, with the fanatic,
mm-hmm.
had the opportunity to actually meet Brandon because he was on the show. How did that go?
It went well. He was down the hall at the Preston and Steve show at WMMR, and we convinced him, I don't know how, to come onto the show. So he came in studio, and couldn't have been a nicer guy about it. He laughed about it. There was no bad blood. There was no grudges. He simply stated that he likes to block out the negativity, that he's not subscribing to it, and really, who can blame him? I mean, a lot of people won't read the mentions or Twitter search their name. Whatever, to each his own, but he was very pleasant about it. He took time to speak with us, take some pictures, and yeah, now we're all #buds with Brandon. So I'm officially a Brandon Graham fan.
Are you still blocked?
Unblock you, though.
Hell no, I am still on the block list.
Did you bring it up that you were blocked or no?
No, I didn't want to push it. I just wanted to shake his hand. Yeah, I just wanted to shake his hand, let him know there were no hard feelings, and he was very cordial about it.
Oh my goodness, this is just too funny. Like, I love that that's what we were kind of laughing about last week, and then boom, he's right there in your face when you're at the Fanatic. Like, it was just too perfect. And I did watch your video that you recorded in the studio of him talking to, I don't know who the host guy is, but I actually agree with Brandon, and I respect that he has, you know, he has the right to just choose what energy he has and around him, especially when preparing mentally for a game. I think it's smart because you and I mean, all three of us know, being on social media as much as we are, the negative comments come, and yes, you can say, oh yeah, it doesn't affect me, blah blah blah, but it does get tiring, and it does get just kind of like annoying, like, oh, okay, let me just, you know, it does. There's that moment of like, oh god, this crazy, like, it. There is that energy there for a split second, right? And there's some times where that one commenter will bug you, you know, like, and you can't deny it. We've all been there. It's like, oh my god, and you want to talk to somebody about it and be like, I can't believe this dude. Like, it, you can't control what people say, and you can't really control how you respond to it in some cases. And so I think it's smart of a high-profile athlete like that to control what's around him, you know, and for me, I focus on the mental so much, and me as an athlete, like, that's what I used to do. When I would prepare for games, I would eliminate everything around me. I would go and drive, you know, to my match blasting only certain type of music and thinking about, you know, I'm gonna, like, getting my mindset, thinking about certain strategies and blah blah. If I allowed all these other things to come in, it would totally hinder my thoughts, and it would affect the outcome of my play. So a lot of people don't, you know, people kind of knock on me about talking about the mental so much, but it's something I understand so well, and it's hard for me to explain and get people to understand, because if you haven't kind of personally experienced it, it's hard to relate to, because it's not this tangible thing like, oh yeah, emotions, like, I get it. So.
Well, hey, listen, if blocking people allows him to continue to get 2 sacks a game, if blocking out all the negativity allows him to be a more positive person off the field and a more positive player on the field, then it is your brand, it is your Twitter, you can do whatever you want, and I promise you, this is not the first time nor the last time that Erock has been involved in a Twitter beef, and I will certainly keep you guys updated on it anymore.
This is like a weekly thing.
It's my new favorite thing. Like, all right, let's get the Erock Twitter beef update.
Yeah, my thing about Brandon Graham is I've never had beef with Brandon Graham. It was just more about wanting to get that safety. That once we lost Brian Dawkins, Eagle fans, Eagle Nation, all we wanted was that safety. When Earl Thomas was there, it's more to, you know, kudos to Earl Thomas for being so nasty. That's all what it's all about. Brandon Graham has done his thing. He got injured earlier in his career, but that's mainly it. We just loved Earl Thomas and we wanted a safety, but that's it. Let's squash the beef, Brandon Graham.
Beef is squashed. All right, before we get into the next discussion, let's do some shout-outs. Those people that are on the live stream. I Bleed Philly looks like quoting Erock in his latest video. The Eagles are like your ex-girlfriend. You want to leave them, but you can't because the sex is just too good.
and that is true. You know, you put up with the good, you put up with the bad, because in the end, sex is just too good, man. A win is just like having sex. Tell me you don't feel the same way after getting lucky that you do after having an Eagles win. You know what I mean?
Hey, these wins are worth everything. I agree.
Look at Delia blushing. We got Delia.
I'm getting hot. I don't know why, but I'm getting really hot in here.
It's muy caliente.
I don't know what's going on. I can't even drink alcohol, so you can't blame it on that. So.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Steve Bynum.
Steve Bynum.
Brother A. See you there. Peace, Eagles fam, says Mr. iFlow. Nice sweater. G rub that belly for the Eagles Nation. All right. And salute to Erock. So. See your Christmas Eagle sweater getting recognized over there, Mr. Gill.
Yeah, man. Hey, while the time is hot right now, you might be able to get this 50% off.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm about to check that out.
Maybe I'll hit you with the link on Twitter.
All right, let's see who else. Baylor Lynn is Sam. Okay, well, this is good. Kind of goes into the next topic I wanted to discuss. Anyways, well, Baylor Lynn is asking, is Sam the GOAT, greatest of all time, Bradford, our franchise quarterback? Thoughts on Sam Bradford after this? Who would like to? I would like to get your thoughts, and then I'll give my. You kind of already know how I feel about Sam, but where y'all at with this?
I'll let Gail take this one.
Oh.
Sammy Biscuits. Where am I? I mean, there's a lot of things that I was hoping to see from Sam this year, and it's been up and down. He's started to develop into someone you could trust midseason. After he went down, we saw what we had in Sanchez. I think Sam Bradford, I think they might give him another year. I don't know how big that contract is going to be, or it could be a one-year deal, but I think if he gets time in the system and he gets the team to rally around him, you get some pieces in front of him. Like, going into the season, we had, questions with the linemen. And I think maybe if you protect him, and it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough to go into next season thinking about, is there a quarterback in the draft that is going to be better than Sam Bradford? Most likely not. Now, if Chip Kelly is here, and he's saying he's not going anywhere, telling his players he's not going anywhere, he has to develop that rapport with his quarterback. So Sam Bradford could be here another year or two.
And Erock's over there kind of grinning and shaking his head.
Oh, man. Listen. I want to applaud the guy against the New England Patriots for standing tall in the pocket, standing strong against a shaky offensive line, against a good defense. Playing his heart out, taking hard shots. When it comes down to it, the fact that we're talking about Sam Bradford in a way that we use the word improvement. We say he's improving. He's getting better. He's getting more comfortable. Fact of the matter is, this guy's in his sixth year, right? Sixth year in the league. He is what he is. He's an above average, but just barely quarterback. Can you win a championship with that? At the bare minimum next year, because I'm not on the Kaepernick train at all. I'm not into Chip Kelly needs a mobile quarterback to succeed train at all. At the bare minimum, if you think he can win you games and get you into the playoffs, you sign him for a modest 2-3 year deal, all right? Keep him on the roster and then draft yourself a project quarterback. See, the problem with Chip Kelly that he's made all these holes, especially on the offensive line, is you need to address that early now in the draft. So I'm not a big fan of taking a quarterback early, better yet trading up for one and giving up more picks. You already don't have a second-round pick. You need to address that offensive line in the draft. So if you sign Bradford to a modest deal, you then draft a project quarterback in maybe the third or fourth round. I can see that happening, and that's the only way I would like to see Sam Bradford back in an Eagles uniform.
Amen.
Okay.
Delia.
Yeah, well, I agree a lot with what you said. And I think looking at Sam Bradford right now and seeing the improvements and seeing how the team is getting more and more behind him is a good sign of leadership. And the way that in this game, yes, the offense wasn't, perfect, and they really struggled getting points on the board. And it was special teams and defense, really scoring. But he didn't throw an interception. He only got sacked once, and he was moving, and finding the guys, lasering in the end zone, finding Coop on those third down. Like, there were a few key third down plays where he was just on point and got that much needed first down. So, I like what I'm seeing. But there's obviously some hesitation because we don't really know. I liked a lot of what I saw from Nick Foles, last season. And then we see the following season, it's a whole different story. And with quarterbacks, that can be the case, where it's usually the first year in or back, after a long period of time, is their best year, just like we saw with Michael Vick. When they first come in, they have the best advantage because there's not as much tape, people aren't as used to their play, and they have a really big first season, and then there's kind of a drop-off or a complete, disappearance in the following years. So that I can't really predict, but the way I look at it is it's the best option for now. I'm very hesitant when it comes to the draft. I do not want to give up anything to go for a quarterback, because we've seen, so many cases where even the top quarterback that's drafted, first round within this league, it's not a guarantee. So it's too risky of a move for me when we have kind of, RG3, how much did they give up for that pick? And right now Bradford is a better option than that, than that guy. So this is kind of the safe bet for now. If something better comes along, all right, I'll dabble. I'll consider it. But I'm down with him for now.
And you're absolutely right with those quarterbacks that you trade up for, and the price tag on them is pretty heavy. Like an RG3, because that sets your franchise back quite a bit. I mean, thank God they drafted Kirk Cousins in the same draft. Otherwise, the Redskins would be not even sniffing a lead in the NFC East. You can always find yourself a read option mobile quarterback in the second round, i.e. Colin Kaepernick, or in the third round, i.e. Russell Wilson. Spend a pick on a quarterback then. But for the love of God, please address this offensive line with those first two picks. Please.
You got to. It's been too long for Chip Kelly not to address this offensive line. It's crazy. It's crazy, especially bringing in Sam Bradford, knowing that he's got health concerns. You got to protect your investment. So, I mean, you must protect this house, I'm
not even saying that Bradford is a health risk now. After seeing all the other quarterbacks and every other team go down this season before our quarterback did, I think I wouldn't say he's injury prone at this point, but I think we have a clear vision of how we stand with our quarterback right now. So let's go ahead and move to a running back, Mr. DeMarco. I guess, the media tries to get all crazy and say all this stuff. So after this huge win, one of the best moments, what does the media focus on? DeMarco Murray, something about him and Lurie, scheming, or, him trying to request more, snaps or whatever. So I was just reading, I forget where I read this. I think it was on Reddit somewhere, but they confirmed, or no, it was the Chip Kelly press conference, that DeMarco didn't request a meeting with an owner, but that he just talked to the owner about it when they were sitting together on the plane. So it wasn't this kind of big meeting and he was upset. It was just hey, you randomly sit next to somebody, and you just kind of chit chat and talk about things, and
you don't randomly just roll up in the VIP like that.
What was that?
I said you don't randomly just roll up in the VIP section. You sit next to Lurie. He had an agenda.
All right. So okay, let me understand the situation from your viewpoint. Break it down. Break it down, Mr. Eagleson.
Well, coming from where Murray's coming from, where he can speak to Jura anytime he wants. Jerry, in Jerry's world, he runs things, and probably he thought he could mention something to Lurie about, his situation. Obviously, he probably mentioned something to Chip prior to this. So it's not like, I think he just, had something to get off his chest. But I think it was just terrible timing, though, especially after a big win like that. The media's gonna flip it around and throw it against the wall right now. So that's where we're at.
And what I want to know is, how did they know about this whole discussion in the first place? The person sitting next to them, or I don't know.
We got a rat.
I know.
Yeah, well, we may have a rat, and it was on the plane. I mean, the way the Eagles plane is set up, all the players and the owner are actually in first class. There's a giant first class section, and actually Chip sits in the back with a lot of the staff and goes over film. That's why he doesn't like to be disturbed when he's looking over film and stuff like that. So he actually sits in the back. So, this conversation happened between Lurie and DeMarco, and, DeMarco's kind of used to going to the owner and bending his ear if he doesn't think he's, getting enough snaps or enough carries, or he doesn't like something in the game plan. And then, Big Jarrah can go to his, puppet, Jason Garrett, and, tell him exactly what he wants done. I just find it convenient, though, that even though this was a circumstantial happening conversation on a plane, that it gets leaked to one of the Dallas Cowboys national beat writer lackeys, Ed Werder. And at first, I thought to myself, this is obviously a clear way of DeMarco wanting to talk his way out of Philly, and maybe he realizes he made a mistake and wants to get himself traded, or next year, be somewhere else. But then it sort of dawned on me, what if it wasn't DeMarco's people leaking this? What if it was from inside the Eagles? What if we do have a rat? What if it was Howie that leaked it? And how convenient would it be? I mean, it would be too obvious if Howie leaked it to, let's say, or Jeff McClain or one of the Philly beat writers. I mean, what if Howie, just to kind of stick it to Chip, leaked it to Mr. Ed Werder?
Ooh. This sounds like a Dateline episode right here. Like, you got that.
And it's just a theory. Because really, what does DeMarco have to gain by, sounding like a crybaby?
Mm-hmm.
He's getting paid all this money. The team just won, and he's sitting there crying. That's not a good look. Why would his agent try to do that? Why would DeMarco try to do that? It makes it convenient because it's to the Cowboys media. But, who really has anything to gain by, making Chip
maybe that rat set it up to look like that. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
That is
we
pretty
have Steve Bynum
nice.
says bingo, Erock.
It's just a theory. It's just a theory.
Well, I mean, because that was my first question. I was like, who is telling these people about this private conversation in a private section on a plane? It's only certain people allowed in, so...
Big Brother is always watching.
That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Big Brother is a Cowboys fan?
Someone else is saying it was Caleb Sturgis.
It was the kicker, yeah.
Yeah, it's always the kicker.
It's always the kicker.
Yep. Okay. Well, I like that little flip. New angle on this news. So, I honestly think it's not that big of a deal. I think, DeMarco's new. He's filling out how these guys work. And like you said, he's used to Jared Jones, and he's kind of a whole one-of-a-kind type of dude. So, I think now he knows, all right, cool. I said my piece, I let my feelings out, and that's cool. But
didn't Jeff Lurie invite DeMarco Murray down to his place in Florida on his private jet? So maybe they have, maybe he felt like he had that relationship, but
Yeah, maybe.
Chip Kelly has gotten rid of a lot more people for a lot less.
Yeah.
But not Riley Cooper.
Cool. Troublemaker.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since we're running a little low on time, let's go ahead and move into next week. We got a big game. Bills going to Philadelphia. And we have former Eagles, player running back coming back to town. Y'all know Bryce Brown. Remember that guy?
Yeah, not that guy.
Yeah, I thought Bryce Brown got cut.
He did.
Oh, he did? Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, let me trick him. All right. Well, thanks for spoiling that one, Erock.
All right.
Okay, I mean, obviously the big storyline. Y'all already know. McCoy, but what I'm surprised at is, like, I thought he'd be less publicly salty, McCoy.
The Salt
But
McCoy.
the salt, oh
The Salt
man, it is
McCoy.
still there. I was just reading about how he said he's not going to shake Chip Kelly's hand, and like, I just, it's just kind of.
He's hurt. The guy loves Philadelphia. He's from Pennsylvania. He got shipped off to Buffalo. I mean, what's the deal?
Don't you find it ironic, though, that of all the players that have left, Evan Mathis, Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson, who was the trouble child, they've all, comparatively speaking, have taken the high road. But LeSean McCoy still continues to speak about the Eagles like a jilted ex-lover. I mean, it is really, salt is the only way to describe it. Just throwing salt. There's snow on the ground. You better get your salt. You better get your salt and your shovels and melt that ice.
He's become sad emoji McCoy.
Yeah.
Right now.
It's because, I've always liked the guy, and I just hate to see kind of stuff keep coming out like this, and him handling it that way. It makes me like him less, and I want to continue liking this guy, because I never had anything.
I love McCoy too. I love McCoy. Look at this. 25 will always love you.
Gail, you're sitting there in an ugly sweater, playing with action figures. Wait, well, come on, bro.
Hey, I'm keeping it real. I think this is real, buddy. I don't fake this stuff. This is not fake.
Oh, he's keeping it festive over there. I like it.
Number 5 will always love you.
There you go.
And I think it's interesting that not Deshaun, that McCoy is the only one really just holding on and can't let go. And I think that says a lot about how much he loved being in Philly, and he's grew up there. That was his city, and he never thought he'd leave. So I think the other guys, they just didn't care. Deshaun, yeah, hurt at first, but, like, he didn't really care about the team and playing for Philly. Like, that wasn't his thing. So I guess it is kind of sad when you think about it, that he just cared so much that he can't let go, that it's just, the wounds are still fresh. I personally think he's going to have a great game. I think he's going to, every time a former player comes back and plays in Philly, they always seem to just light it up. And they end up beating us. I've seen it with the Redskins, and who else was it? So McNabb and, well, Deshaun. I think, did they beat us the first time? Maybe not. But
What about that?
they always end up having good games. So what do you guys think is going to happen?
That is an excellent question. I mean, how do you even answer that after the last 4 games?
How is McCoy going to do? Sorry.
How's McCoy going to do? Oh, he's gonna play with a fire in his stomach that you've never seen before. He's gonna give 110%. He's going to try whatever he can in order to get those yards. And there's no doubt in my mind, Rex Ryan, being the player's coach that he is, he's going to center his offensive attack around finding Shady McCoy space, whether it be out of the backfield, read option, putting him in the slot, splitting him out wide. He's going to highlight LeSean McCoy in this Buffalo Bills offense against the Eagles. Will it be enough for the Bills to beat the Eagles? The defense is playing pretty good. That defense front seven is playing all right. I'm sure the Eagles defense is going to want to stick it to LeSean just as much as LeSean is going to want to stick it to the Eagles.
Yeah, I think a lot of the Bills players have already mentioned that he's actually has a different energy about him. They know how much this means to him, and they're all saying that they want to win this game for LeSean McCoy. But I think I don't know if he's gonna explode. I think he might be trying. He might do too much. It might be. He might play outside of his box, But like you said, it's kind of hard to predict what's gonna happen this weekend. You never know with this team right now. But after beating the Patriots, anything is possible.
And what about Kiko, the replacement? Do we see him have a nice little one-handed catch?
God,
do something nice and.
Don't get me started on Kiko.
Baylor Lynn says, Gail, talk about how bad Kiko is.
How bad Kiko is? I mean, I think Kiko, he's injured. He's just not right now. Like he's not the same player that he was with the Bills. I mean, he did look decent in pass coverage in that first Atlanta game, but he's injured. So I don't know, man. We can only hope.
All right. I see Keem Ali. What's up, homie? Talking about McCoy. This is the team that popped his cherry. You never forget your first. So, shout out to Keem and Smokey Joe's. For the few that don't know, they put my live streams on at the bar. And Erock, remember when I was like, oh, hey, we're going to meet this.
Oh, yeah.
That's him.
That's him? All right.
Bar was freaking insane. It was like packed to the walls. And it was like, hey, we watched your live stream. I was like, dude, they had DJs and everything. So shout out to Smokey Joe's. Like, they got a cool thing going on there, too. So
where are they at in Philly? Give them a quick plug real quick.
I don't even know. I didn't drive. It's by the university, like college town area.
All right, so
Those
University
are college kids.
Nice.
So, I forget, but yeah. All right. So, oh man. Well, I'm speaking of that game, I have to give a shout out to Mark Vader and all the Bills fans. We've kind of had this whole thing going on my channel for years, since I think the very first season I made videos. It was the last time we played the Bills when, who was it? Jaquay Parker jumped off sides.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That's the last time we played this team, and we should have beat them.
And Kiko Alonso had an interception in that game too.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe he'll turn around.
All right. Well, like, I'm at this point in the season, and after witnessing what I've seen from this Eagles team, I'm not even going to try and predict anything. I'll have my opinions on stuff, but I'm just going to sit back. I know this team can win or lose. I'm going to just go in with this kind of like low expectation. Like, as long as they don't script too bad, it'll be all right. And that's really it. So how are you guys going into this week's game? Are you expecting anything, or you're just kind of riding it out like I am?
Well, I think the Dehlia frame of mind would be very appropriate because, again, we're all riding high after beating the defending Super Bowl champions, but that doesn't excuse the way this team has played the previous 3 games. So, going into it, I mean, this team is the most unpredictable team in the NFL. They can beat the best of the best. They can lose to the worst of the worst. We're hoping that they bring their A game. We're hoping that they take a look at this Patriots win, and it's the type of win that turns around their season. They start believing in each other. They start playing for each other. They start playing mad. We got Sam Bradford with Fozzie the Bear stuff on his chin. He's a whole new guy, and, maybe this is the point where, just like the New York Giants did on their Super Bowl runs, 2 of them, they get hot at the right time. There were points and times in those seasons where Coughlin his head was being called for, his job was being called for, but they got hot at the right time. They rallied at the right time, and they made a run. Who knows? All I know is I will see Gail there. We will be at the tailgate. We will be partying, and hopefully we'll be walking out of there with a win.
Oh yeah, So I forgot to mention that both Gail and Erock will be there. Look for them in F1, right?
Parking lot F1 in the Wells Fargo.
Parking lot F1. That's where the party is at. When I was in Philly, That's where I was chilling. Oh, and Keem Ali responded. Smokey Joe's is at 40th and Walnut. So any after parties, y'all can go there.
Damn.
And I guess that's really it. So shout out to my Cali Eagles fam that'll be there. I'll have y'all. I'm gonna have them all hit you up. So get ready.
Nice.
All right. Well, that's it for Eagles talk, and that means Erock says his goodbyes to us.
I'm out. I'm out of here.
Let us know where we can find you. Now you're like everywhere.
Nah, well, you know.
Twitter, YouTube, influencer. Let it roll.
Yeah. Okay, all right, I got to remember the list. Hold on, let me get the list out. All right, on Twitter, at the Mighty Erock, Instagram, at the Mighty Erock, Facebook, facebook.com/Eagles Tailgate Team. Of course, on YouTube, youtube.com/the Mighty Erock. I will be doing game day videos for PhilaInfluencer.com. Gail actually helps me shoot these things. Without him, they would not be possible. We do a pregame video before kickoff. We do a postgame video, which has become one of the most popular posts on Philly Influencer. It's a lot of drunken hot takes right after the game as people are exiting the stadium. And, of course, on Mondays and Wednesdays, as of right now, on the 97.5, the Fanatic morning show. You can stream that show on your 97.5 The Fanatic app.
Yeah. All right. And can you tweet me the next link? I want to hear you guys on there. Is it a tweetable link? The Fanatic?
Yeah, it's just the app. We're on 6 to 10.
But I have to like search for the right show, right? Like I always get confused. I don't know.
No, it's just a listen live. When you hit listen live in the morning. There's also, if you go to Fanatic.
I can't listen to you live though. I'm in deep sleep, right?
That is true.
It is
So
true.
you can always download the podcast. They always upload it after the show each day. You can go to the Fanatic website, and it's Anthony Gargano and the Morning Crew. You can always listen to it there after the show.
All right, I'm about to write that down. Anthony Gargano podcast?
And the Morning Show podcast, yeah.
Okay, got it.
All right.
All right, cool. Well, we'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week, Delia.
Yeah,
Gail?
Sunday.
I'll see you in the parking lot, baby.
Yeah.
Peace, guys.
Y'all have fun. All right, and then there was two. Well,
I feel like I've got some stuff on her chest.
This is like, I'm feeling good, man. Like, I don't even know. Like, I just want this feeling to stay forever, Unfortunately, when Sunday comes around, it can all change. But I'm going to enjoy it for now. So let's close out with a few NFL topics. And obviously, you guys know how I am. I just get so caught up in Eagles football, I forget to pay attention to anybody else. But we'll just do a few topics today since we're already kind of low on time. But if there's anything specific, Gail, in NFL news that you wanted to cover, let me know now.
We still have to give a shout out to the Panthers, who are still undefeated. Still undefeated. I mean, you got to give props to Cam Newton. As much flack he gets for doing his dab and all the other stuff. Yeah. They're still undefeated. They're playing defense. They're playing. Cam Newton is playing MVP football. So hats off to the Carolina Panthers. They are still undefeated.
So at this point, the only undefeated team in the league. Two questions: are they the best team in the league, and will they remain undefeated for the regular season?
They have a good shot. I mean, their schedule isn't like they're not. It's not like they're playing world beaters. So they do have a shot. Like playing the Saints, a team who they were supposed to kill. You play a team in the division who knows you. They almost got knocked off by the Saints. So it's but it helps when you play a team in the division who knows your playing style. But I do think they have a good shot. And Rivera said he's not going to try and, take his players out if they have an opportunity to go undefeated. Because he says when Rivera played, I believe, with the Bears, he said from his own experience, he's not going to do it to his Panthers. So hey, hats off to those guys if they go undefeated. But they still could lose in the playoffs. So
yeah.
So.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, they just have a good thing going right now. I think him and his antics actually plays in their favor because the
Right.
team is behind it. If the team didn't respond in the same way as they do to him with that type of stuff, it'd be a different story. But they love it. It hypes them up. So you know what? Whatever works. I don't care what the public thinks. You're here to win football games, and if he's getting them hyped up, good for him.
I think. I think the anniversary to Cam Newton's car accident was like a couple of days ago, and ever since that car accident, I think his record is like 14-2 or something. He's got some crazy sick record since then. So I mean, hey.
Did you watch that game?
The last game?
I didn't watch any. Well, I just watched the highlights of the.
Yeah, it was back and forth. Cam Newton is my fantasy quarterback.
Saints.
What's that?
I was like, how did the Saints of all teams? I was like, they were about to beat them, and Graham called it. He's just like, I'm calling the upset. Yeah. But I guess it's just division games, man. Anybody can win, no matter how good or bad.
Yeah, and the Saints actually lost Mark Ingram in that game. I mean, he's on the IR now. He's out with the shoulder injury.
Oh snap!
Saints. If you're in the fantasy playoffs, people out there, now would be the time to pick up CJ Spiller.
Oh snap! Speaking of fantasy, I think there's 3 spots left in my league for FanDuel this week, and I finally got the tournament right. So I put the link in the description. Huh?
Is it the second week that you've won?
Yeah, I just won. And it's funny, there's a couple of people like, dang, we always go to win. I was like, hey, why you getting mad? I'm good at picking freaking lineups. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at yourself. You gotta do better.
Is your brother coaching you up?
Nobody's coaching me. You know what? I've realized that playing every week helps.
Yeah.
Because you practice, you learn, and you're like, all right, you kind of get a feel for how things work. In the beginning, I had no idea what I was doing. But, and then I just kind of, I don't know. I have something that's working because it doesn't work all the time. And that's the thing with FanDuel. You have to play all these hands to get a couple to stick, And so my strategy is just consistency. I keep doing the same thing every week, and every couple of weeks it works. It hits, and when you hit, you kind of make all your money back, and it's kind of nice.
And then you gotta brag. Then you have to brag about it and make people feel bad about it, which is the best thing.
Heck shoot, bragging rights for this week. So I was a double winner this week in FanDuel and in Eagles football. So that's why I'm extra. I guess that's why I'm extra excited. I'm just winning all over the place.
When your teams are winning. I'm telling you, winning cures everything.
Oh yeah, it's. Woo, man. I don't know what I would have done with another loss, It's crazy. All right, I'm done talking about Eagles. All right, next up, Packers and Lions. That game I did watch, and that was a freaking amazing finish. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think that could have been the game that could actually, turn the Packers. Their season around. I mean, not that their season was bad, but it was going in a weird place. Mm-hmm. And Aaron Rodgers was saying that was one of the best games he's ever played in. And the guys won a Super Bowl, mind you. But in that fashion, to lose in that fashion, I thought, the Cleveland Browns losing prior to the Lions game losing that way, that was bad. That was really bad.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that's the type of moment, not even just the game, the win. Like, that was the moment, the end of that game, that freaking just, that Hail Mary, like, dude, that's a magical moment that team needed in order to keep their heads above water. Like, they were kind of going down, and this, I think, will bring them back in it.
And the Lions defense and their offense was starting to come alive, and they were on a little streak themselves. So for them to lose like that, hopefully that doesn't turn their season back down. Yeah. But I think you really got to give credit to Aaron Rodgers, and coming back like that. Not every quarterback can throw it that far.
All
Oh, how
right.
about the
Well,
guy who
next.
caught the ball, Rogers? I mean, what's his name?
Oh, Rogers to Rogers, right?
Rogers to Rogers. Hats off to him. He's
Well,
the one that made the catch.
and they just totally like boxed the defenders out. I was like,
Yeah.
like that was kind of smart. Like, why doesn't
Yeah.
everybody do that? Just box the guys out.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest games of his career too. So that could put him on the map. But a good fantasy tight end if you need for this week.
Oh, there you see, now you're getting all your fantasy tips. Watch out. Watch out. All right. I think we'll do one more topic and then we'll sign out. So I guess we'll go to Ohio. Johnny Boy is set to start. Will he ever get it together, that kid?
Johnny Manziel, I mean, he's got talent. He's one of those gunslingers. You could just see it. I think he just has to realize the situation that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland Browns' history with quarterbacks has been shaky. So they're looking for some stability at the position. And if you're going to take that position, you got to – I mean, you're in a locker room with grown men. These grown men that you're playing with, their careers are online. Their families, are banking on this paycheck. So, I mean, you have to win and you have to take it serious. And I think I do think the Cleveland Browns have mishandled it. I think they got to let Johnny Manziel be Johnny Manziel in some sense and just let it rip. You got to let it rip. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I believe that this 4-game stint right here could either be the make it break it for Manziel in Cleveland. If he's ridiculous, Cleveland's like, all right, this is our guy. And if Cleveland is not sold on Johnny Manziel, this could be a 4-game tryout for the next NFL team that he goes to.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I think, the Browns organization just doesn't handle anything well, it seems like. And this kid, and I keep calling him a kid because that's what he is. You got to grow up at some point. And this type of behavior, like, okay, maybe you can get by with it one time, if that. But it's like, okay, we see a trend here and you haven't learned from, getting in trouble the past few times. And it's like, at this point, like, why is he even here if he's not going to take it serious, Yeah. And it's like, is drinking and doing all that stuff worth it?
Right.
If that's the case, then all right, just go do that.
I mean, he just really has to show that he wants it. Like it's his for the taking, really.
And I don't think, with players seeing that, he's not going to be a good leader. People aren't going to be able to get behind that. So, I don't see a good future for him. But when talking about, Cleveland, you're talking about Ohio and Browns doing everything wrong, I do like to bring up the parallel between the two Ohio teams, the Bengals and the Browns, and how they've taken just these two different paths, and when the whole Chip Kelly kind of attack started going down, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, the Cleveland Browns, what they do is they fire guys right away. And some people are already talking about, are the Browns going to fire their coach who they just brought on this year? I was like, you know what? Any normal team, no, but the Browns possibly, because they're.
What is it? It's his second year. I think it's his second year, and he had.
Is it his second year?
He had a decent year last year, and then it went to shit. At the second half
okay. So anyway, it's still a very young,
Right. But I think it could be his last, though. It could be his last.
But yeah, so with the Browns, you look at their pattern, and they've gone through every single coach. They haven't had a coach for more than 3 years, and they've gone through multiple within the past 7 years. It's almost like 6 different coaches or something like that. And then you look at the Bengals, and they've stuck with their guy.
Yeah, they have.
Through the very horrible, bad, like they had some ugly, ugly years.
He's
And
like
that's
the
tough to
and
not let go at that
right.
point. But they've held on, and what you're seeing is it's built some consistency. It's allowed this guy to kind of work through his kinks, go through those struggle years where they're waiting to get the right guys or develop them into the right players. And they're at the point where they've become this well-oiled machine, you know? And I like to look at things like that because I always relate it back to the Eagles, and that's those subtle things that most people don't often pay attention to. It does have a big effect on your team and the future down the line. So, whoa,
What happened?
oh, was that a car?
Oh yeah, it was actually there's buses out here in the city.
I was like, you're just rolling on out of here. All right. So yeah, that's just kind of a little tidbit I wanted to make.
It's funny, like Browns, the Browns organization and the Browns fans more so. I really root for the Browns fans because they've been through so much. Even like I don't know if you ever seen that documentary NFL does with what Bill Belichick and the Browns when he was with the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Like and he built that Browns team up and the organization up, and then they ended up getting traded. They sold the organization and they became the Ravens, which who eventually won that Super Bowl with a lot of Cleveland Browns players. So Cleveland got, that could have been their Super Bowl.
Oh, snaps!
You know what I mean? So I got a lot of friends who are Browns fans, and I look at them. I'm like, yo, you are a real football fan. You love your Browns, thick and thin, and I give those guys props.
Yeah, you have
pound,
to.
You know?
That's one of those things. It's their struggle is real. Like we got a real struggle. Theirs is even worse. So,
right.
All right, any Browns fans out there, we're gonna shout you out, show you some love. We know what it's like. And I guess we'll close out with a few more shout outs in the live stream, and then we will sign it out, I guess. So shout out to my homegirl, Cookie Cisco. She's a Native American sister. I saw her in Philadelphia when I was there, and yeah, we've been to quite a few tailgates together. So love ya, and hi Ryan. Talking about Aaron Rodgers. We got Kimali and Dave L. So shout out to the people on the live stream. We always enjoy having your input and kind of comments as we do our dialogue. It makes it more interesting. And I
want to give a shout out to Mr. iFlow.
Mr. iFlow.
Yeah, funny dude.
Okay. We see you, iFlow. So yeah, you can catch us here every Wednesday, and we start sometime between, I'm on the West Coast in California, so Pacific time between 6 p.m. and 6:15 p.m. And if you're on the East Coast, it's 9 p.m. between 9:15. That's when we start. And then we hiccup and we go for about 45 minutes to an hour of straight Eagles and NFL talk. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll be in another great mood next week.
Yeah, let's go Birds.
Heck yeah. So Gail, let people know where they can find you and get a little Eagles therapy.
You can find me on YouTube, Eagle Sessions, and you can find me on Twitter at Eagle Sessions. And if you want to talk NFL draft, NFL nerdy stuff, you can follow me at Gail E. Saunders as well. So that's where you can find me.
All right. And I got the YouTube links in the description below for Gail, Erock, and myself. So feel free to subscribe, Eagles videos, and that's it. So until next week, let's just chillax and hope for another Eagles win.
Yeah, let's do it. Go Birds.